Today, we're diving into a popular post from the Reddit titled as, "I am Dr. Meganne Christian, a materials scientist, astronaut reserve with the European Space Agency, and Exploration Commercialisation Lead at the UK Space Agency. Ask me anything about science, space and the future." This post received 711 upvotes. Posted by UnsW. The post reads as follows. Hi Reddit. I'm Dr. Meganne Christian. I'm a materials scientist, astronaut reserve with the ESA, and Exploration Commercialisation Lead at the UK Space Agency, where I'm working to develop technology that will help us explore the harsh environments of outer space and live more efficiently here on Earth. I'm currently visiting Australia and am borrowing my alma mater's Reddit account this morning to chat with you all about my research, the Astronaut Reserve Program, and all things space, science. About me. I completed my PhD in industrial chemistry in 2014 and have since spent time living in Antarctica as a winter-over scientist at the Concordia Research Station, leading various observatories including radiation, meteorology, stratospheric lidars, chemical and physical atmospheric aerosols and space weather. Outside of my time in Antarctica, I've been working as a researcher at the National Research Council of Italy, where I've been investigating how graphene coatings can be harnessed for thermal management in satellites. Part of my research has included 2 parabolic flights to test the function of graphene coatings in 0G. Keen to answer all your questions about research, space and science. Proof it's me. https://imager.com/a/jatesite. Update. That's all our time for today. Thank you for the great questions. It's been fantastic to chat. If you'd like to keep up to date with my work and research, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. A comment from user Leb0ng James says, "What's your professional opinion on UAPs?" This comment received 32 upvotes. A reply from the original author UnsW says, "I haven't had anything to do with UFOs in my career, so it's hard to have a professional opinion, but I would just note that there are so many different ways of having unidentified flying objects, and they are most likely not aliens. They would probably be something related to defense that the general public just can't know about." Dr. Christian. This reply received 33 upvotes. A comment from user Uzi_47 says, "What was your experience like in Antarctica? What was it like living there? Were there any interesting things you found out?" This comment received 18 upvotes. A reply from the original author UnsW says, "Antarctica was a life-changing experience. I was there for a whole year and actually got to go back again a couple of months later, but that year was incredible. Looking at the stars, for example, in such an isolated, low-light pollution environment was incredible. Every week I would have to go out to this instrument, which was about a kilometer away from the base. I'd go out there with a colleague and we would take our headlamps off to let our eyes adjust to the conditions, and we would just look up at the stars and you just had such a good vision of it. We had 100 days of darkness, and if it was a moonless day you could actually see your shadow in the light of the Milky Way, so that was an incredible experience. I'm not an astronomer, but just being able to see that was amazing. Then there was the experience of the tough physical conditions. We reached a temperature and wind chill of -104 degrees Celsius, which is not something I ever expected to experience in my life. Also the low humidity. Antarctica is actually a desert, so that meant that it was extremely low humidity, which is pretty tough on the body, and the fact that you don't see the sun for 100 days really plays havoc on your sleep. Concordia Station is at an altitude of 3,233 meters above sea level, but at the poles, the air is thinner and so it's more like being about 4,000 meters. That meant any activity was quite difficult, and it also meant that I felt like a bit of a superhero because I had, these lungs that had expanded to be able to deal with that. Unfortunately, that only lasts about a month, but that was great. So overall it was a fantastic experience with my colleagues. Yes, it was difficult at times, but we really became a family. Dr. Christian. This reply received 43 upvotes. A comment from user Project Vico says, "What is your favorite sci-fi story? Have you read Dune?" This comment received 15 upvotes. A reply from the original author UnsW says, I have read Dune and I also love the film, but my favorite sci-fi story is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Dr. Christian. This reply received 61 upvotes. A reply from the original author UNSW says, 17 of us were selected. There are 5 career astronauts, 11 reserve astronauts and a parastronaut, and that's because the model of European Space Agency is a little bit different to NASA's model. So NASA selects a lot of people and may select them frequently, and everybody they select then goes through training, but a lot of them actually never fly to space. So the European Space Agency wants to keep up its record of everybody who trains then gets a mission. At the moment they have 5 missions available, so there are 5 people doing their training to become career astronauts and the rest of us are reserves, but that doesn't mean that we will never fly. So actually the first person from my class to fly will be a member of the reserve. That's the Swedish reserve astronaut Marcus Wandt. He's going to be flying around January next year. So he got a call one day and they said, next week you have to be in Houston for training, so most likely we have special projects like these. Other options are for if the European Space Agency and its member states decide to expand the astronaut corps because they have more missions, then we can go in that way, or if for some reason there are one's career astronauts can't continue. Dr. Christian. This reply received 26 upvotes. A comment from user Hi, this is Michael says, what's your favorite fun fact about space? This comment received 12 upvotes. A reply from the original author UNSW says, that we have had a constant human presence in space since the year 2000 smiley face. Dr. Christian. This reply received 33 upvotes. A comment from user livid_nectarine 6360 says, what exactly do you do as an Exploration Commercialization Lead? This comment received 10 upvotes. A reply from the original author UNSW says, so I started in this role at the beginning of July. It's very new, but the idea at the moment is to think about the future of human space exploration, because after 2030 the International Space Station is going to be decommissioned. It has been around since the year 2000. It was initially only meant to be in use for 15 years, so it has already outlived its lifetime and the amount of maintenance required is increasing, so at a certain point it will have to be decommissioned. The idea at the moment is that Axiom Station is going to be built attached to the International Space Station and then break off, perhaps using parts from the ISS. So what I'm working on is a kind of strategy for the UK in particular for how we want to go forward with doing research in space once we don't have the ISS. Dr. Christian. This reply received 19 upvotes. A comment from user Pongpianskal says, if you were given the job of selecting 3 people to accompany you on a first contact meeting with aliens, who would you pick? This comment received 18 upvotes. A reply from the original author UNSW says, I would definitely go with Jean-Luc Picard. He's had a lot of experience with first contact and he's one of my favorite Star Trek captains. I would probably take my husband because it's always great to go with somebody you love, and I would also take Tim Minchin, who's my favorite comedian and I think would be great value. Dr. Christian. This reply received 45 upvotes. A comment from user Leb0ng James says, what's your professional opinion on UAPs? This comment received 32 upvotes. A reply from the original author UNSW says, I haven't had anything to do with UFOs in my career, so it's hard to have a professional opinion, but I would just note that there are so many different ways of having unidentified flying objects and they are most likely not aliens. They would probably be something related to defense that the general public just can't know about. Dr. Christian. This reply received 36 upvotes. A comment from user Lord Taste says, right, I'll be that guy. Aliens, yay or nay? This comment received 12 upvotes. A reply from the original author UNSW says, yay. I definitely think there are aliens out there. I think the chance of us actually encountering them is pretty low because, well, the universe is really spread apart and we don't have any way of traveling fast enough at the moment. I also think that any other life forms in the universe are going to be completely different to what we might expect. Dr. Christian. This reply received 23 upvotes.